Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiana, and I am doing the second installment of my Degrassi series. Today we are doing Liberty Van Zandt. So, let's get started, shall we? So, Liberty Van Zandt. What can I say about Liberty? Besides that she is my favorite character of the entire Degrassi series. She's my favorite character. No ifs, ands, or buts around her. Okay, she's smart, she's beautiful, and was treated terribly, awful, literally awful by the Degrassi writers. Okay. Ooh, let me turn on this light. There we go. So, I got a beef. Okay, I got a beef with the Degrassi writers. And let's start with, what was my first point? Okay, so they have her as main cast starting lineup, right? No problem with that. But they didn't treat her equally. They did not treat her equally. For the first couple of seasons, they just had her as like comedic relief with smart one-liners. You know, she was the smarty pants and everything like that. So they just had her pretty much there just to be comedic relief. Okay. Then when they finally give her somewhat of a storyline, of course she's dyslexic. The smart girl is dyslexic. Okay, no problem. You know, dyslexia is a common problem among people. Okay. Then they have her chasing after JT. Okay, that's one storyline. Then the next one is they have her chasing after JT for 4 years. Like the literal number 4. 4 years until he finally gives her the time of day. Seriously. Like, he gave her the time of day, but it wasn't serious. Like, he didn't take her seriously. He didn't start liking her until after 4 years. Okay, 4 years. So she has this lopsided love. They give her the lopsided love trope. Okay, that for some reason writers, since the show's Canadian, I can't really say Hollywood, but television show writers, for some reason, when the character is a minority, okay, minority, and don't let them be thicker than the rest of the cast. They don't even have to be fat, but just plain thicker than the rest of the cast. There's a couple things that happens. A stereotype, a trope. Things that happen. They become the sidekick, okay? They're the comedy relief. They're the comedic relief. Or they're the friend that's the sidekick and the comedic relief, on top of they are the lopsided lover. Okay, they have a crush on someone. They're pining after someone that does not want them. But they have this crush on this person. They don't want them, and they crush on this person for years. Like years. like for example, will be Kim Parker and Moesha when she was going after Hakeem. Hakeem ain't like her. But yet, they steadily had her character. Again, Kim, Countess Vaughn, she wasn't that big. But, of course, since she was thicker than the rest, I look like I am wearing a mask. And it's the same products that I used last week. We'll figure this out. Anyway, maybe it's just the lighting. I don't know. But anyway, Countess Vaughn, she was not that big. Yet, her character faced constant fat jokes, fat shaming, and of course, she was pining after someone who didn't want her. The lopsided lover trope. And on top of that, when we get to the Parkers, her mother goes through the same trope. This week for concealer, we're using ColourPop Pretty Fresh in medium 90W warm and medium 105 in neutral. Anyway, her mother goes through the same trope, going after Professor Ogilvy. Until, he finally wants her at the end of the series. So, again, what do these people have in common? Liberty, black, Captain Black, Nikki Parker, black, okay. But the Parkers and Moesha, that was a black show. Well, let's add something to it. They were the heavier girls. They were the thicker girls of the show. Exactly. So they had that trope for Liberty. Lopsided love. Okay. Then, of course, once she gets older, her weight fluctuates and she's more proportionate in her weight distribution. She's treated more attractive. She's given the same attractiveness as her co-stars. She's given the same time as her co-stars. But of course, it had to be after a couple of years. Okay? Okay? Because let's not act like when Emma's ex, Chris, started dating Liberty, they try to seem like Liberty was just butt ugly when Lib was far from ugly. They try to, I have a beef. As much as I love Degrassi, I have a beef. So, of course, they give one of the only black female main characters of the show. Because let's just be real. What was her name? Hazel. Hazel wasn't exactly a main character. That's another problem. Hazel wasn't exactly a main character. And on top of that, Hazel was dark skinned. She was darker than Liberty. They gave Hazel one storyline, and that was about her being ashamed that she was Muslim in a post 9/11 world. And that's all we hear from Hazel. So, and then the next, that's all we hear from Hazel. Okay, she's Paige's best friend and Jimmy's girlfriend. And of course, Jimmy dumps her. Jimmy breaks up with her. But we're not here to talk about Hazel. We're talking about Liberty. So anyway, so she gets the lopsided love trope. She's one of the only black characters of the show. And she's terribly written in the beginning of the show. Well, she's not terribly written, but she's treated unfairly. So, oh, I'm looking at my notes. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, of course, so they have her pining after JT for 4 years. Then she starts fluctuating. Weight starts being distributed in other places besides just the midsection area. And now she's treated the same. She's treated as equally. She's viewed as attractive. Okay? That's nice. I'm actually looking at the wrong stuff. So that's nice. But now, we're going to get into her relationship with JT. We're gonna talk about her relationship with JT. Okay. Not only was she treated like that, she was written like that in the beginning of the series. They finally give her her man. They finally give her her man, James Tiberius York. Okay? So, they finally give her a man. They fall madly in love. And then she becomes, guess what? Pregnant. She becomes pregnant. Number 1 in her class, student council president, smart as a whip. And they make her pregnant. Now, I'm not against her being pregnant that much, because it happens to all of us. This happened to me. But I just don't like that idea. I don't. Because when you think about it in the Degrassi series, a lot of the minority characters have either were pregnant or they had a pregnancy scare. Okay? First things first, Manny Santos, Filipina. Okay? She becomes pregnant with Craig's baby. We're going to talk about her next. She's next in our series. Okay? Liberty. Ali Bandari. We're going to talk about Ali as well. Ali Bandari. She has a pregnancy scare. Okay? Then, of course, Lola. In next class, she gets pregnant. And they're all the minority characters. Of course, we have, Jenna and Claire, but Jenna, Claire, and Emma, they compared to 5 to 3. You do the math. 5 to 3. You do the math. Now, I'm not calling the Degrassi writers racist. I'm just saying television has racist tendencies. Now, back to what I was saying. So, Liberty and JT finally get together, right? You're rooting for them. You love them together. They're perfect for each other. She gets pregnant. Okay? And of course, she doesn't tell anyone because, like I just stated, she's #1 in her class. She's student council president. She's ashamed. This wasn't her plan. But at the same time, she's like, what the fuck? Excuse me. She's like, what the freak? I love this man. And I'm not one for abortion. But I'm still young. I don't know what to do. By the way, I forgot to wet my sponge, so I'm doing all of this with a dry sponge. Not my favorite. So she doesn't know what to do. She loves the man. She loves the baby. She's young. She knows if this was under any other circumstances, it wouldn't be a problem for her. It wouldn't be a problem for her family. But it's different. It's different. I don't like that concealer. I bought it at the beginning of the pandemic because I could not find my Urban Decay concealer. But this color, I don't like this. I don't like it. It's like it just sits on my face. Mind you, I do not have a wet sponge still, but that shouldn't affect it that much. Like this shit it just sits on my face. Like it just sits on the face. Like it shouldn't. Cause trust me, I tried my other concealer. I tried several other concealers with the dry sponge before accidentally. And it doesn't just sit on the face. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. But that one does. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, she gets with JT. She gets pregnant. She doesn't know what the fuck. She doesn't know what to do. And which leads them to have problems. Like any teenage parent. Like any teenage parent will have, they have problems. And which caused them to break up. And if you watch the show, you know why. JT sells drugs and everything to support them. And then, which leads them to, well, not even them, it leads to Liberty deciding she is not ready. And he's not ready, and they're not ready, and they give the baby up for adoption. Which she later admits in her college years that it was one of her hardest decisions. Rightfully so. You know, I'm just going to use this all over the face. So, and rightfully so, because she wanted to keep the baby. But, like I said, Liberty's smart. And she's rational. And the adoption was what had to be done for, not just for their sake, for the baby's well-being. So anyway, she becomes pregnant, they break up, they have their issues, they have their problems. They show the baby in the show. He's gorgeous. Of course, so they have their problems, they have their issues. JT moves on. Liberty tries to move on. She can't really do that because she's still in love with him. That's the love of her life. And what else? Well, JT, it takes him a minute, but he finally realizes that, well, Liberty, that's the love of my life as well. And I'm going to scream it to the mountaintops. I'm going to tell her. And once he goes out to tell her, Guess what the Degrassi writers do to poor Lip Lip? They kill JT. They kill JT! This is one of my top beefs with Degrassi writers because why? Why did we have to kill JT? I understand the actor, Ryan Cooley, wants to go to college. No problem with that. Let the boy go to college. But did we have to kill off his character? Did he have to get murdered? Did he have to get murdered? Did he have to get stabbed? Why? He could have just graduated and went to college and we never really heard from him again, because it's not like that's so absurd for Degrassi writers. It's not like it's so absurd. Okay? 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 Because JT and Liberty were supposed to be married. They were supposed to be married. 2 kids. Liberty has a PhD. And JT, you know, he's a stay-at-home dad. He's happy that he's a stay-at-home dad. He loves being a stay-at-home dad. He loves kids. And they were supposed to have 2 kids, be married, engaged right out of high school. And did they do that? No, they kill him. Breaking poor Liberty's heart. You already did the girl bad. You already did the girl bad. But now, you killed the love of her life. You killed the love of her life. Great. Not only did you kill the love of her life, you killed the love of her life on her birthday. I really look like I'm wearing a mask. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix this. But yeah, you killed the love of her life. And you kill her on her birthday. Now, her birthday is forever ruined. Thanks. Thanks. Her birthday is forever ruined. Thanks. And on top of that, she never gets to know his true feelings about her for weeks. I'm sorry if you're listening to this with headphones. This is how you know Liberty's my favorite character. I'm so passionate about her. Anyway, so she doesn't get to know his true feelings for weeks. For literal weeks after his death. And she only gets to know because she overheard Toby telling Mia that he was going to tell Liberty that he loved her. He still loved her. Until Toby finally confessed. Until Toby finally confessed after weeks. After weeks, Toby finally confessed, tells Mia and Liberty the truth that JT didn't love Mia after he kind of, Toby kind of made it seem like he did, that his final thoughts were about Mia, which, give or take, it kind of was. because, you know, he had to break up with Mia if he was going to get back with Liberty. But he could have just told Liberty. Of course, you know, he took Manny's advice, telling Toby, like, you know, Liberty's in shock. She doesn't really want to hear this right now. Give her some time. Manny was wrong. Liberty wanted to hear it. And after weeks of not knowing, Toby finally tells her. And it messes with her. It messes with her! I'm sorry again. It messes with her. Because how would you feel? How would you feel? Tell me. How would you feel? Okay? It's your birthday. The love of your life throws you a surprise party. It wasn't really a surprise party, but he suggests a birthday party for you. Because he felt like you were kind of down. So, he comes to your birthday party. You finally talk, and you confess to him that you still love him. And he's thrown off about it, but he still loves you as well. He doesn't tell you in that moment because, you know, he has a girlfriend and he doesn't know what to do. Okay? Of course, you being a little dramatic, you storm off. But, you know, it takes him a few extra moments, let's say 30 minutes or an hour. Later, he finally, you know, admits to himself that he still loves you as well. And he leaves to go and find you to tell you this. Okay? After he confesses to his best friend. Okay? After he confesses to his best friend. And now, he's going to go find you. You go outside to the party, he's trying to find you, you're nowhere to be found, and he runs out. And he runs into these thugs peeing on his car. He's like, yo, I need you guys to move. It's whatever. And in that moment, some psycho stabs him. Okay? Of course, when they run away, you come up and you see him. The love of your life. It's your birthday. Find him. Love of your life. Stabbed. Dying. You're screaming. And it's not the best scream because it's hoarse and it's filled with tears and sadness. But eventually, gets him to the hospital. It's your birthday. He was just dying in your arms. Gets to the hospital, and you find out he died. It's your birthday. You found him. He was dying in your arms. How would you feel? Okay, now some people, they will say, Manny was right. He shouldn't have told her right off the bat. He shouldn't have told her right off the bat, you know, that Toby shouldn't have told, you know, Liberty right off the bat that, no, I'm gonna use this, that JT was going to tell Liberty that he still loved her and everything. You know, Liberty's right. Manny was right about that. But I would have liked to know as soon as possible. Especially if I'm over here pining, thinking that this man did not love me anymore. I would like to know. I would have liked to know. Again, After pining for weeks, thinking this man did not love me anymore, and I just so happened to find him, I would like to know why he was outside. What was he doing? I heard someone call my name. It sounded like him. Would like to know. But that's just me. So again, like I asked, how would you feel? How would you feel? Personally, I would have liked to know as soon as possible. Not when you deem what was possible. So anyway, she finally gets to know. And after weeks, she finds comfort in it. Kinda, sorta. It takes some time. She just gave up their baby, and he just died. Now, and on her birthday. Now you realizing how messed up the Degrassi writers treated Liberty? You're realizing that, right? You're seeing it? You're seeing it? I see it. Now, post JT, post, you know, death, love of her life, all of that. Where is my name? There it goes. All of that takes her a little bit, but she finally gets a man of her own, right? Damien. Remember him? Of course, he comes from the school of the guy that killed the love of her life. Again, you see what I see, right? Of them treating Liberty bad, right? You're seeing it, right? Okay, so Damien finally gets a man of her own, but guess what? Of course, Damien dates Manny and Emma first before we finally get Liberty to have a man of her own. Of course, he gets used by Manny and Emma first. Like, wow. Of course, you give Liberty their sloppy seconds. Cool. Cool. Great. Fantastic. Great. Fantastic. You give her sloppy seconds. All right. Cool. And I'll do that later. Okay. Sloppy seconds, of course. And then on top of that, you make her be an adulterer and give Liberty, I keep saying him when referring to Damien, give Liberty her man after, oh, excuse me, give Liberty her man, and of course Damien is still with Emma in the process of it. Great. Fantastic. Love that. And now we're gonna take a quick intermission so I can do my eyes. No, what? Forget that. So, Damien, finally get him, right? Then he disappears after that. And now we are in college, right? We're in college. You only give her one storyline. That storyline is about being a token in a sorority. Okay. Storyline's about being a token in a sorority. Okay. Great. And the people that help her realize that she's being treated as a token aren't other black people because, well, there's not many black people in the show, unfortunately. There's a downside of Degrassi. Well, they do have minority characters like Hispanic and Arab and Southeast Asians. It's not Southeast Asians, and there's not many for black people. The first cast really was when you had a significant amount of black people in the cast. So, yeah. Liberty has green eyes / hazel, so I'm gonna mimic that. Because I have brown eyes, like dark brown eyes, so I'm gonna try to mimic that effect with this makeup, this eye makeup look. So anyway, finally give her, she has one storyline in college, and that's being the token of a sorority. And after that, we don't really hear from her again. We don't really hear from her again. The way I'm talking makes it seem like I don't like this show, but I love this show. But I do have my problems with it. That's just it. You can love something and still have, you know, issues. Small issues about stuff. Okay, because not everything's perfect. That's just it. I should really get rid of this box. Anyway, so I'm gonna use the BH Trendy in Tokyo palette. If you follow my Instagram, you know I love this palette. I live for this palette. Ooh, wait, and I might also use a Giganna palette because I have a green color that's perfect for what I'm thinking about. Anyway, so yeah, what I was saying, don't really hear from her again after that, because the college years we really just follow mostly Emma, who likes Emma, really. Some people, not me. I'm gonna take Tempura with this palette. And let me just say this. Let me say some positive things about the character of Liberty, because I keep talking about the negative things that happened to her during the show. Let me just talk about some positive things. I loved Liberty simply because she was smart. She was beautiful. I saw myself in Liberty. And oddly enough, my life ended up kind of similar to hers. But she was just a character you ended up liking. And the actress, Sarah Bobler, I don't know how to pronounce the second half of her last name. But who's a DJ now? She's a DJ now. She did she brought an element to Liberty that I don't think anyone could do. I don't think anyone else could really do that besides her. Like, again, like I said, Liberty, she was funny, she was smart, she was beautiful. Of course, she was treated terribly when it came to the writing of her character's journey, but you can't help but end up still rooting for her and still wanting the best for her and wanting the best for the character, because that's just it. That's just what makes it great. The characters, they go through trauma, but you still want what's best for them. You want a happy ending for them, even though the writers, they're treating them awful. Writers are treating them awful. Because again, her birthday, love of her life, dying. I'm gonna use sponsored. Yeah. And I'm not using, and the reason why I'm not using like an eyeshadow primer and stuff like this, because the show was filmed early 2000, all that type of stuff. Eye makeup was kind of subtle and more natural, so that's the reason why I'm doing it. Once I'm done with like my favorite female character things, then you'll really see how I truly like how my makeup was done. Because really most of the time they'll probably use like one shadow for the entire lid. It's like, so here we go. Make that a little bit more even. So Liberty, again, I really wish she was treated better in the writing of the show, because again, they did her wrong. They did her so wrong. But at the same time, I'm conflicted at the same time, because there's a lot of wrong. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of wrong that they did with the writing of her. But some of the writing made her character persevere. And that's what I ended up liking about Liberty. She persevered through literally everything that could possibly have been thrown at her. I'm not gonna do a wing, but I'm gonna do a quick lining. Oh, what the heck? I'm gonna do a liner. I'm gonna do a wing. I'm gonna cut all this out. Okay, and voila. I don't really have a dress that is this print or a fully white dress, but I do have the combination. So again, this is supposed to be recreating, not exactly a full replica. These are my glasses. Oh shoot, my hair. I loved having Liberty's hair done like this. My hair doesn't really stay like this, but I loved having Liberty's hair like this. Okay, so final conclusions. Again, Liberty was one of my favorite characters because I saw myself in Liberty, and I hated the way some of the writing ended up treating Liberty because she deserves so much better than just being the smart girl that was ended up just used as a stereotypical trope, and she was more than just being the person that was seen as the sad, lovesick person that had the love of her life killed and dying basically in her arms. They could have done so much more with Liberty that they already did, but at the same time, what they did with Liberty was so much. They could have did more with her character than just being those things. And at the same time, again, like I said earlier, I'm conflicted because the way they written Liberty is how she ended up becoming my favorite character. Again, I have beef with the Degrassi writers because why does everyone have to go through trauma? Why does everybody have to go through trauma? I understand it's a drama, but dang, everyone has to go through traumatic experience to be good, a decent person? Dang. So that is my recreation of Liberty Van Zandt, my personal favorite character. Who is your personal favorite Degrassi character? Maybe she's on my list. Maybe she's not. Maybe it's not even a she. Maybe it's a he. Because I understand a lot of people's favorite characters end up being Spanner and JT. So that's all for now. See you in the next one. I think next week we are doing Manny Santos.